Hey there. Welcome to this pretty nice late summer evening. Here's what we're looking at today. We have going on Lesson 7 from Module 1 from Grade 5. And so today what we're looking at is the meaning of the value of different places. And it's talking about filling in this table and then rounding to a given place. And so label the number lines to show your work, and then it says circle the rounded number. So we're going to take this number right here, 4 and 3/10. And so we know that the 4 is just simply 4 ones. We know that here's that decimal, so we're going to make a new decimal right here. And then we have 3/10. And that's step 1. It says fill in the table. And then round to the given place. So we're going to be rounding 3 different times. I'm going to go ahead and start with ones because it's kind of the easy one that most people are fairly used to. So if we round down, it doesn't actually mean that the number gets any smaller. It means that the number stays the same. So this is the number in the ones place. Here we are rounding to the ones, so we put that number right there. Now we take a look at if it gets rounded up, what does it become in that case? If it rounds up to the very next one, it's going to be a 5. The next thing we have to do is think about what is halfway in between. And like we've been talking about in class, this right here means that a whole one has been broken into 10 equal pieces. And we know that 10/10 is equal to 1. Therefore, it would round up and become a 5. So we take a look at what we have. We have 3/10. So we can just kind of draw lines here. We know that halfway between none and 10 is 5. So 4 and 5/10 would go here, because here is 4 and no tenths. And so then we can just count up. Here's going to be 4 and 1/10, 4 and 2/10, 4 and 3/10. What's after 3? 4. 4 and 4/10. And then if we keep going and you're thinking about it and you know how to count sequentially, you've been doing it forever. Here's 4 and 6/10, right? And then we have 4 and 7/10, 4 and 8/10. What's after 8? 9. 4. Let's see if I can squeeze this in here really tiny. 4 and 9/10. And so the number that we have is 4 and 3/10. So let's find it on here. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10. So our digits that we have that we're working with is right here. And we can tell by looking at this vertical number line, it's upright, that we're not halfway in between the two. And so if we were going to round to the nearest ones place, we know it's going to round to the just plain old 4. Now let's do it again. And we're going to take a look at the tenths place. And so we start with what we've got. Here's 4. And what do we have? We have 3/10. And we know that we have no hundredths here at all. And if we were going to round to the next larger number in the tenths place, what is larger than 3? The next one up, as you know and have known for a long time, after 3, you've got 4. And we're going to be counting upward again. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, and here's our 3/10. And we also happen to have 5 hundredths here. And so then we have 1 100th, 2 100ths, so it looks like this, 4, we have 3/10. We'd also have 2 extra hundredths in that case. And I'm kind of skipping them because I don't really have room to make all of these little numbers. This is going to be 4.33. Here we have 4 decimal. Here's our 3. And then what's the next one? A 4. And then we have 4, a decimal, a 3. And what number? Not a 4, a 5. We just keep going. And then this one is going to be a 4, a 3, and then a 6. A 4 decimal, a 3, and a 7. A 4, a decimal, a 3, and after a 7 you're going to get an 8. And then you have a 4, a decimal, a 3, and a 9. And what's after that? Well, it goes from 38, 39, 40, right? 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Now let's look at what we have. This is what we have. It is definitely, without question, not halfway to 4 4/10, is it? So we're just going to round and stay the same. We didn't go up. The last one is hundredths. This one's going to be very similar because do we have any hundredths? No, we have no hundredths. And so here is 4 decimal 3 and no hundredths. Here is 4. Oh, and no thousandths, right? Here is 4 decimal 3. No hundredths, but 5 thousandths, because it's halfway. And then if you keep on going up, 4 decimal 3, and in this case, we go 4 decimal 3, 0. What's after 5? 6. 4 decimal 3, oh, what's after 6? 7. And then we're going to have 08, and then we're going to have 4 decimal 3, 0. After 8 comes 9. What's after 9? A 10, right? So it's going to make this 0 become a 1. And then this goes back to 0 again. So this one is just 30. This one is 31. So that's what happens with the hundredths place. There's nothing, and then there's something. But our number, 4 decimal 30, is all we have. So we're just going to stay right here. And what does it round to? To the hundredths place. 4 3/10. No hundredths. That's that. So now, when you look at this one, for example, let's read the directions. Let's see. And it's asking what's happening, and we're probably rounding again. So you're thinking about each time what happens as these get bigger. Using a table like this can really help. In your agenda, it's either on page 4 or 5 that you will find a place value chart like this. Let's take a look at what I'm going to ask of you to bring into class so that you can show me that you watched this here video. So this one is saying use the table to round the number to given places, and then label the number lines and circle the rounded value. So this one, you can just see what they're doing, and you can use it for reference because it's already done. Here they have taken, and they had 8 ones, 5 tenths, 4 hundredths, and then they've had 6 thousandths. They took those ones and they moved them over here, so it became 85 tenths. So if you were thinking of money and you had 8 $1 bills and you turn them into dimes, you're going to have 85 dimes, and then some pennies and some thousandths, which is like cut up pennies, which really doesn't make any sense, but it's kind of a fun thought. And then your 85 tenths becomes 854 hundredths. So if you had $8.54, well, what if you had 854 pennies? It's the same amount, isn't it? So that's all they're doing, is they're just showing you how these can round like that. Now if you take a look here, we're going to use that number again. So I'm going to go ahead and write it right here so that we don't lose track. 8.546. So it's this one right here, A and B, that I want you to write on your paper. So just make this vertical number line, write the word hundredths. Make this vertical number line, write the word tenths. Let's start with the easy one, and I'll kind of get it going for you, and then you can give it your best shot. So we know that if nothing changes at all, because we don't round up, that our number is going to stay the same. And I am concerned about, according to this, what's in the tens place. So we have an 8 in the ones place, and that's really all that matters. These ones right here, they don't matter at all, because the one that we're concerned about is this one right here. And so on here, if we don't round up at all, we stay the same. What's next after 8? Well, in this case, we have no tens, right? And then if we round up, we're going to have 110. And, well, would we? Is that true? Are we going to go from 8 to 10? Probably. What's halfway between 8 and 10? 9. We are, however, at, oh wait, that's not going to be this, is it? It's going to still be right here. 8 ones, 9 ones, 10 ones. But we're not going to round up at all, are we? We're going to stay here. So what I want you to do is kind of make the hatch marks in between here. And what can make this change? Think about it. This one right here, we're looking at hundredths. This one's going to be better to work with, because here's the hundredths place. And so in this case, you have 8 ones, you have 5 tenths, you have 4 hundredths, and then what you have here is you have 6 thousandths. And if you round up, this is the number that changes. So you keep your 8. The tenths doesn't change. It stays 5. But then that 4 that's in the hundredths place moves on up to a 5. So this would actually be at the bottom. This is going to be a 0. My mistake. Sorry about that. I'm going to cover it up, make it look good. 540. What's next? 541, 542, 543, 8 decimal 5 4 5 546, 547, and so on. And then you're going to take this number and you're going to show me on this vertical number line where it lands. And remember, if it's bigger than the midpoint, if it's more than halfway, then that number ends up rounding up to the nearest hundredths place. So that part changes. So bring this with you tomorrow. This is kind of the big one. I'll go ahead and put a star next to it. This one's tougher because it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of silly. How do you get from 8 to having actually 1 in your tens place? That's harder to show on this because you're halfway point. All right, give it your best shot. See you tomorrow.